Nice little group in here right now.
What is up, everybody? We are live on the Gossip Pod. It's Thursday night, May 21st. We're streaming here on Get Vocal, which is also streaming to Twitter, to Facebook, to YouTube,
to Mars,
to Saturn. But the best way to interact with us tonight is on Get Vocal. That's GETVOKL. I'm Tim. There's a train in the background. Lance, how's it going?
It is going so well. I look forward to the Thursday nights more and more now. Tim, is that train the turbo train en route to the Gardner Museum?
It sure is. Yeah, we'll get into that in just a bit. But I want to introduce our guest tonight here. It's Jenn Amell. What's going on, Jen?
Hello, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here.
Jenn Amell from Suitcase Jane Doe coverage. Whoa. Tim's got the terror train going. Jamie Lee Curtis is going to hop off. David Copperfield. Yeah, people who know Jennifer's work probably were introduced to her through her research on the case of Suitcase Jane Doe, which is a woman found dismembered. Part of her body, the upper half, was found in a suitcase in Downingtown. I'll let you tell it, Jen.
Thanks, Lance.
Downton Abbey. It was found in Downton Abbey.
What a scandal!
What a scandal!
So yeah, Suitcase Jane Doe is a body half of a woman found in these super creepy tunnels in my hometown of Downingtown, Pennsylvania. And I believe 6 months later, about an hour down the highway, they discovered the lower half, the lower extremities of this woman's body, and she has yet to be identified. It's been almost 30 years since she was dumped, and there has been one suspect per se, but the police aren't really looking into it too much.
And this, the lower half of her body was found in January, right? So the top half was found in the summer, and then the lower half was found a few months later. How many miles away? Like 60 miles away?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Not 60 miles. That would have been like past Philly. So would have been like maybe 30 to 40 miles away down the turnpike.
Yeah, really crazy case. One of those cases that brings up all sorts of elements, like perhaps a sex trade or a transient worker. Maybe there was a whole circus in town element to it, which sounds like an episode of American Horror Story or something.
It really does.
And this is your hometown, and you did not make it a secret that you were looking into this, right?
No, I've talked to lots of people around town. I've talked to the police department, the state police, some DA people, lawyers, all kinds of people. But the other interesting thing about this case is that this place, the Twin Tunnels, where the body was found, is like the subject of so much lore in our town. Stories like some woman absconded to the tunnels with her baby she gave birth to out of wedlock and like hung herself, which I don't think is true. I don't think it's true. And then this rumor that there was a body in a suitcase. So growing up, I always thought that this was just another one of the myths until I found out that it was actually true.
And this is the Twin Tunnels, which is sort of inaccurate, right? Because it's not 2 tunnels, it's 3 tunnels. So I guess it's the triplet tunnels. Recently, well, maybe not recently, but almost exactly a year ago, I was in that area randomly for a wedding with my girlfriend and our puppy, who was a puppy at the time, and we took a trip through the Twin Tunnels. And
what was it like?
Creepy.
Yeah.
Creepy. You can't build it. I can't build it up enough. It's creepy.
Please keep going though. I want to hear more about it.
Well, okay. So you're sort of on a main road, and then you turn onto, what road is it that it's on?
It's on Valley Creek Road.
Valley Creek Road. So you turn on that and it just sort of sneaks up on you. And it's this, it should really be a wall. It just kind of looks like a wall with a hole in it. And you drive through, it's pitch black. It has these light shafts, like a light shaft in the entrance of it, right?
Well, they're shafts for air into the tunnels. There's not any like electric light in there. So when you go through at night, it is like ridiculously dark in there.
Oh, during the day, it's ridiculously dark. And it's barely one lane. And you drive through and then you realize like there's really nothing on the other side. So you have to turn around. And we turned around and we went back through the other way. It's very uneasy. It's a very uneasy situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I mean, we would drive through the tunnels when we were in high school, like smoke some weed, drive through the tunnels, freak each other out. Terrible. But actually,
weed in high school.
No, I was
Jen.
Designated driver, Tim. Of course.
Obviously.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, I mean, there was a thing for teenagers to do was to like go in those tunnels and get scared. I think I related this story on the first ever Suitcase Jane Doe episode. But something actually kind of scary happened to me in the tunnels. I had taken my cousin with me on a trip through the tunnels because we were bored and I wanted to scare him as well. So we're going through and there's this whole ritual you're supposed to follow. You're supposed to drive into the middle of the tunnel, like kind of where those air shafts were that you were talking about, Lance.
Mm-hmm.
And you're supposed to turn your car off and then turn the static in the radio up really loud. Or I guess idle the car because, you can't have static with your car off.
For the sake of the folklore, we'll just...
Yeah, you turn your car off. No, but you're supposed to turn the static in your radio up really loud, and then you're supposed to hear like the whispers of ghosts or a baby's cry, some people say. Yeah, it is scary. So we were driving in there with my cousin, and I turned the static up like you're supposed to, and we're like paying such close attention to the radio to see if we could hear a voice that we barely saw this Jeep come flying through the tunnel on the opposite side, and we had our lights off. So I slapped on the hazard lights and this Jeep just like zoomed right around us. But if that hadn't happened, we would have died or been like severely injured. It was scary.
Yeah, that's creepy.
Yeah.
And so that was just because you guys it was because of the legend that almost happened, essentially.
I guess. I don't know. Or just sheer stupidity.
Yeah. But you wouldn't have been doing that if there wasn't so much,
Yeah.
So Lance, did you go down that hill? I remember you seeing some pictures of you down going over there. No, you didn't actually go down that little embankment.
Oh, like get out of the car?
Yeah.
No.
There's nowhere to park. No, but Jen has.
Oh. Oh, you could have. No, you could have parked on the side of the road, but we weren't gonna fucking do that. That's creepy as hell. We had a wedding to go to.
So we're talking about Suitcase Jane Doe with Jenn Amell. Jenn Amell has been on Crawlspace a number of times and on Missing Maura Murray a number of times. This Suitcase Jane Doe story is really fascinating, from 1995 in Downingtown, Pennsylvania, right near where Jen lives. Not really so much anymore, but where you were from.
Yeah.
And there's I want to pop some links there in the message section. You can see some of Jenn's work at suitcasejanedoe.com. She's got some videos there. And speaking of videos, and then we can get back to Suitcase Jane Doe. If anybody's familiar with private investigations for the missing, you can go to their website, investigationsforthemissing.org, and the video that you see of Bruce Maitland right there on the homepage, it's shot and edited by Jenn. And I think it's the only non-news related account that Bruce Maitland's ever done. I think it's the only produced video of him, other than something that's been on the news or
yeah.
And it's excellent. If anybody has any question about like where Bruce's heart is coming from, watch that video. It'll goddamn move you.
Absolutely.
It was quite a moving experience just listening to him and recording him.
Yeah.
It's hard. I mean, it's hard for him to talk about those things. And it was hard for him to do it on the video too.
Well,
Yeah,
you captured the tragedy. You captured how heart-wrenching that situation is to him.
Yeah, and he doesn't like to talk about it a lot. It's a lot easier for him to talk about private investigations for the missing, which kind of makes sense, because he's sort of channeled his grief, I guess you can say, into something good with the nonprofit private investigations for the missing. And this is a good segue to bring Jillian on to discuss the blog, the private investigations for the missing blog. So hop on in here, Jillian, and tell us what is going on with. Hey, what's up? How you doing?
What's up, Jillian? I just want to say real quick, we got a nice full house over here. Just what's up to Chris Duet, Kenneth, Paradise After Dark, even the podcast is afraid.
Pyrational,
Rebecca, Sebastian, Beck Seabass, Circle City Crime. What's up?
Ah, yes.
Kay,
Full house.
Shannon, Evan. Who do we miss? War Baby. Aaron.
Yeah.
Hey, Jillian. How are you?
All right. Sorry.
Giving shout outs. So yeah, what's going on, Jillian? Tell us about the PIs for the missing blog.
So this week we have a post up about Trenny Gibson to go along with the episode that you guys put out, and Laura Riss wrote it for us, and
cool.
It's really great. She's a great storyteller. So the first part is about the day that she came across Trenny's case and kind of how she was drawn to it, and then gets into the details of the disappearance. And some of it's what you guys covered on the podcast, but it's really great to hear her tell it or read her tell it. She's a really good storyteller. So it was a lot of fun to read and edit.
I guess as much fun as a missing person could be because of Laura. Yeah, because of Laura.
Right.
And Jen was the one that originally communicated with her. And we keep saying, after we spoke to Laura, not after we spoke to Laura, I'm sorry. The second Laura said like 3 words, Tim and I were texting each other and we're like, she's awesome. She
really is.
You could tell immediately. She spoke so clearly. She was so factual, and she had everything straight in her head. And it's always kind of fun, like trying to feel out the guest a little bit. And I think Lance threw out that joke about her Texas accent. And it really fell flat.
I laughed. Felt so flat.
Yeah, I laughed, but Laura didn't laugh yet. But we got her, chuckling later. And she's a really cool person. I think she was just so focused on trying to do a good job that maybe that one went over her head. I think at that point.
I think it was too soon. I thought we were at a point in our relationship that just wasn't there.
Well, that's the best time to make to make the joke like that, though, is right at the beginning. Try to break the ice a little bit.
I know, but I'm so dense. She probably doesn't even it's like you hear somebody who has an accent and you're like, oh, where's that accent? They're like, I don't have an accent. You have an accent. So she was probably like, what are you talking about? What accent? She was like, what are you talking about? What accent?
Yeah.
She's Canadian, for the record.
Yeah.
She's very Canadian.
Yeah. Awesome accent.
Yeah.
Very Canadian.
But yeah. She's really awesome. Cannot wait to get back on with her. She Sorry. No, go ahead.
Laura's been at Trenny's case for 17 years, guys. 17 years.
Yeah, her exact words were...
Because she knows it backwards and forwards. So everything you guys asked, she knew right away and had so much to say about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. She started researching Trenny's case in 2003, and I quote, when we got the internet. That was one of her first internet searches.
Trenny Gibson.
And she didn't look back. But I mean,
she does seem to be drawn to that work, missing people work.
Yeah. Did you guys get her to talk about how she stumbled across the case and like this kind of ghostliness?
She talks about that in her blog post. She really tells the story really well. So if you guys have listened to the episode, definitely go check out that post to kind of listen to her or read her tell. how that happened, how she found it, and the reaction that she had when she came across it, and just never put it down again after that.
Mhm.
Which you just put the link there in the message.
Yeah, the link is in the chat.
And she actually sent us an email today. Lance, I didn't realize you CC'd on this too.
Oh, really? I wasn't. Well, that's weird. Art sent me an email too. It was about getting together after Memorial Day. We're going to do a social distancing thing. But anyway, what was Laura's email?
Oh, he didn't invite you to his big Memorial Day bash then?
No, he did.
That's weird.
No, he did.
Oh, that's weird, because you said after Memorial Day.
He wanted
That's
to
funny.
make sure that we were going to get together after that one.
Oh, okay. I see.
Yeah.
So my best friend Laura emailed and said, she said that my brothers walked and timed it all out, walking from Andrew's Bald Circle to the vanishing point, then the dome, and then the exit. So she's talking about the Great Smoky Mountain National Park. And I guess her brothers were down there. We'll have to cover this the next time we talk to her, which I think is going to be next episode. So that's kind of interesting. We didn't talk about that at all.
Her brother?
Yeah, I guess she said her brothers walked it all out and timed it out.
Wow, that's like quite a trip for them too, because they're all the way in Vancouver, I think. That's like across the whole continent.
Yeah, she gave the exact mileage. It's insane how far away that's incredible. Wow, good job.
Check this out too. She says, another question that was asked, I only heard part of it, I guess during the interview. And she says, was anyone noticed to be hurt or marked up among the students that returned to the bus? She says, the answer is yes. I cannot say who, but someone was injured. She said she can tell us that his clothing hid the injuries.
Is this a breaking news exclusive?
I don't know. Yeah, I guess.
No, please.
I don't know.
What'd you get here?
And she's got full support of the Gibsons, Trenny Gibson's family. Of course, this is we're talking about the disappearance of Trenny Gibson from the Great Smoky National Park in 1976. Crazy case.
So she's saying that other students who were on that same trip had injuries that their clothes covered up.
It says it seems to be one person. She says, I cannot say who, but someone was injured. I can tell you that his clothing hid the injuries.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, you know who that is.
You got to assume it's suspect Simpson.
Yeah, suspect Simpson. Yeah,
the bear hunter, I like to call him.
Right, the bear tracker, bear hunter. Yeah.
That seems like a really important detail to know.
Yeah, it is.
All day.
All right, well, we'll get it out of her when we talk to her next.
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, I'm sorry. You know what? I missed something, as I often do here. So when she said that her brothers walked this out, Laura didn't mean her brothers. That was actually from Hope Gibson.
Oh, Trenny's brother.
So that was Trenny's brother brothers who walked that out.
Okay.
Gotcha.
And she said that was in regards to the question about whether or not the perp had time to harm Trenny and then return to the bus.
I was thinking about that after I listened to it today. It seems like such a short window for another student to have done something and then gotten back and acted like nothing happened. So
it's like 40 minutes or something like that.
We don't know. We don't have a timeline for when they arrived at Andrew's Bald and then returned, or like.
Yeah, we have
when they even got there.
It's a pretty rough. It's a rough guesstimate, I guess. But she says there was exactly enough time for him to do his dirty work and get back to the bus without being noticed. That was from Hope Gibson, Trenny's mom, I guess.
I see.
Right, because you have to assume like there has to be some wiggle room there by like 5 or 10 minutes on either side.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and someone arriving back at the bus a half hour late is going to stand out, but someone arriving back at the bus 7 minutes late can simply say, "Oh, I was just off trail. I had to use I had to go to the bathroom or something and came back," and won't really stand out. I think that's like what the creepiest thing about this disappearance is someone who probably hadn't committed murder before probably did this. Other people who hadn't committed murder or been witness to a murder probably saw that, and then they all figured out a way to hide the body forever.
And got back on the bus. Yeah.
I'm not sure. I mean, yeah,
You don't think suspect Simpson? You think he committed murder before?
No, I'm saying no. I don't think so. He was like 17 years old.
Right.
What I'm curious about is how many students would have known exactly what happened. You know, I think maybe some people thought he was suspicious after the fact. I really wonder, you know, and I know that Trenny's jewelry and comb were passed around to some of the students, and they were a bit shady, dodgy, if you will, about how they got it and things like that. But those are, you know, again, they're basically kids. I don't know. It is a little hard for me to believe that a group of even 4 people have held on to that secret for that long, right?
It's really hard to believe. That's what I'm saying. Like, Laura was almost 100% positive that other kids knew. She said to us, there's a tone that some of them who don't know what happened will have with me, and there's a tone that others who probably know what happened, that they have a different tone.
Yeah, she said specifically it was the senior class. She was like a few of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not the junior class.
Yeah.
Do you think people sometimes think they know something when they really don't, though, because they've heard a rumor and they think they've got secret information, so they act like kind of suspicious and they really don't know anything?
That could also be the case.
Sure, but even like, you know, when you put, you know, like Trenny's gone for a couple days, then they're starting to think like about the bus trip and who was acting weird, and someone was limping, or you know, someone was late to the bus or something like that. You know, I don't know. I would imagine there would have to be something suspicious or weird in retrospect, but.
And, you know, it's kind of easy for us to always have like the Monday morning quarterback, you know, perspective, which is why aren't people remembering stuff? But no one goes into a situation thinking that there's going to be a significant crime that's going to happen around them. No one commits things to memory just in case, right?
I do.
Well, you do. You do now.
You do now.
I do now.
Yeah.
I do now.
You remember license plates and stuff like that? If you see someone acting like a weird.
I don't know about license plates, but like if I ever hear a weird noise at night, I always make a note of the time.
Well, that's smart.
Yeah.
That's really smart.
I know. I do this now too. I gotta say.
Before doing this, I never did it though.
Yeah, exactly. Jillian, do you do this too?
Rock, what's up?
Mentally, a little bit. I don't know how often I hear weird noises that are weird enough to write down. The thing with Trenny, though, is it's weird from the beginning because it was very clear that she was missing as soon as she was missing, right? Because she didn't make it back to the bus to go back to school. It's not like she disappeared overnight like a lot of cases. So you would think people would remember things and notice things right away.
Yeah.
I wonder how many times that happens, though, on field trips.
I don't think it ever happened on missing. I went on.
I don't know. I mean, how many times do kids not get back on the bus?
I went on a field trip. I was remembering this after we recorded the episode, but I went on a field trip when I was in middle school, some grade in there. And they took us to New York City and just let us go for the whole day.
Chaperones, right?
No.
Come on.
No.
Okay.
We had an area. We're in the financial district of all places.
I mean, I remember being, in high school, and I don't know about middle school, though, and left to my own devices like that. Yeah. In a weird town.
We didn't know what to do, so we went on in all the spinny doors.
That's what you would do. I mean, that's a lot of fun. Let's be honest.
It was very fun.
We're putting some links there in the messages. This Canadian Girl 77, GURL for girl, Canadian Girl 77 is Laura's website where she writes about Trenny's case. Even the podcast is afraid. So did no one look for her when she didn't get on the bus? They did. They had a pretty extensive, exhausting. They had
it started about a half an hour after she was supposed to be back. Is when they got the park security involved. So it's not like the bus left without her. She just didn't ever come to the bus, and they realized it, and the search party started.
And it seems like there were a couple of pretty big searches, and then another one in the spring of the next year, and nobody turned up any clues.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing's turned up. Well, no, that I take that back. The comb turned up.
Stuff turned outside of the park.
Yeah. Which makes it even creepier. I feel like I saw this on some like movie, like Thursday night mystery movie back in my childhood, back in like the 80s or something. You know, doesn't it feel like that? Like a group of kids witness a murder, and then they form this pact, and then it all comes back to haunt them years later.
Totally, that's got to be a movie somewhere.
Isn't that the plot of I Know What You Did Last Summer?
It's basically,
Pretty much,
I Know What You Did Last Summer. Yeah. Sorority Row is basically the same exact plot line. Yeah, it's kind of a horror movie trope. That's why I kind of don't think it's super realistic, to be honest. I know that it has happened, I'm sure. But my God, what is this? You're going 45 years? Your grandma, and you're keeping this and you didn't even do anything, and you're still keeping this a secret?
Yeah, that doesn't seem right to me. Like, maybe it's what you were saying, Jillian, that people had heard rumors but didn't have any like hard evidence or didn't see anything.
There's an unsolved murder in my hometown from 1972 where it's the same kind of thing. When you talk about the kids that were you talk to kids that were in high school with this girl that was murdered, everybody's got like these crazy theories, and they're all suspicious of everybody else, and just like they all act like they know something. But then there was a book written about the case, and you look at it and nobody knows anything. Like they all just they were teenagers, and this crazy thing happened, so you get all these rumors going around, and it's possible that that's what happened with Trenny's case, and that's why people think they know something when they don't.
Yeah, possibly.
I feel like that's a great concept for another podcast show, which is kind of like rumors, folklore that you heard in your town.
Yeah, rumor would be a good name for a podcast.
Rumor would be a great name. I'm just gonna break away from this conversation for a second by saying shout out Susan was just in this room, and then she popped out. She's gone. We had shout out Susan for 2 seconds, and now she's gone. So if you're out there, Susan, come on back.
Come back. Come on down.
But no, you're right. Rumor would be a great.
Yeah, she mentioned on Twitter that she went camping in Smoky Mountain National Park when she was 14. So interesting connection of the case. Maybe she has some perspective on it.
Yeah, I like to hear about that.
That's part of the Appalachian Trail, right?
The Appalachian Trail goes through there, yeah.
Yeah. Man, now what do you guys think about all of the, the David Paulides missing 411 and Bigfoot, and that's a fun story, right? That's a fun concept. Do you get offended when you hear things like that because you've looked into Trenny's case and you're like, just stop with this? It wasn't Bigfoot. This is a human being, or do you just kind of go with it?
I think it would be offensive if you're going to say Bigfoot took Trenny Gibson. I think that's a bit outrageous. Now, Paulides doesn't really say anything. He kind of puts a lot of really mysterious ones together that sometimes like involve kids like going miles, and over the course of years, these couple of two or three different stories in the same area would happen. And so then he kind of leaves you to be like, well, there's clearly a fucking Bigfoot there somewhere. And he just takes kids and he runs them up the mountain, obviously, like you have to look at them all individually, in a group. It's I don't know. I would be offended to hear someone say Bigfoot took Trenny Gibson. I think that'd be a bit much.
Now, Extra Dimensions is another story.
Hey, yeah, you never know.
I believe everything until proven otherwise.
No, I'm not even saying I don't believe in Bigfoot. I probably do. I think I do. As in, like, it's a species that hasn't completely gone extinct, and there's still some out there. But are they abducting kids? Probably not.
Well, Brock and Shannon are talking about the satanic panic era, I guess you'd call it. That's a real thing, and that is also a very fake thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You're saying that you're not gonna get the devil's gonna get you.
I'm saying that there were instances where people practice satanic rituals, and then there were instances where people, took a lot of liberties to apply those principles to crimes that they couldn't figure out. And
has there ever been a crime that was ascribed to a satanic group?
I don't know. I know in like the Bridgewater Triangle, I know that they've had like I don't know if it was a police chief, but it was like it was an investigator who was on the police force, I think. There were instances in that region where the Bridgewater Triangle is that, I don't know if it was legit satanic sacrifices, but there was animal blood and animal bones around there.
Yeah, they're saying West Memphis 3 in the chat room, and when I think of this story, I think of Richard Ramirez with his palm, with the upside down pentagram in his palm.
You're going to offend Chris Duet. That is just simply taking the left-handed path, Tim.
Well, Richard Ramirez was trying to freak people out,
Well, that was the left-handed path,
right? I don't know.
Indeed, if nothing else is.
Yeah.
Richard Ramirez.
Yeah.
For sure, the left-handed path.
We will not be offended if people pop out to go see Murder Was the Case, talk to Jared Ortis of Even the Podcast Is Afraid, by the way, because they're on at 9:30. I don't want to get anyone to leave this room, but
actually,
I'm kind of jealous. That sounds like a fun conversation.
Yeah.
Actually, every single person who leaves this room, I'm going to write their name down, and you're going to get blocked. You get fucking blocked from this room next week. Go ahead, leave. I swear to God, I'm going to write your name down. Leave.
I dare you.
Just kidding.
I thought Satanic Panic was bad.
I remember the Satanic Panic, like in the film sense, Lance, this kind of, there was like I don't know, it was like a whole decade of satanic movies, kind of starting with The Exorcist. And just kind of playing on exorcisms and I don't know, like these kind of Manson, that whole deal. There was a ton of these movies.
So the case that I mentioned earlier from my hometown, a lot of the rumors were that it was some kind of satanic ritual sacrifice. And that was, when I was a kid, that was what my father told me had happened, because that was what all the kids in this high school were saying. But yeah, there's really no evidence of it. So it's like an early satanic panic case.
Yeah.
I just think if there's no answers, I think people just, they're like, oh, that one, this one.
Well, even in Suitcase Jane Doe, there was rumors of the same thing. Like, when I was talking to Buck, the guy who found the lady in the suitcase, he was saying that a bunch of teenagers would go there and do rituals. Like, they would sacrifice squirrels or, whatever, and do like candle magic or something. But that was definitely part of the lore.
Is it true?
95.
Is it true, or is it just part of the lore? What? Yeah, we got to figure this out. Let's get to the bottom of this, guys. We have 25 minutes.
Fill people in real quick on who Buck is. Buck Plank.
Yeah, Buck Plank was a fisherman. He worked at the hatchery down the stream from the Twin Tunnels. And he was going around the banks looking for fish or whatever. And he happened upon the suitcase with Jane Doe's body inside. And he was a suspect for a long time. He was a prime suspect. But I found him by leaving a note on the hatchery door. And he called me, thankfully, and we got to interview him, which was very exciting.
Yeah, really played out in a very mysterious way.
Yeah.
Is that on your website on the media part? The video of you doing that? Okay. Yeah. Anybody wants to see that, it's pretty interesting. suitcasejanedoe.com/media. That's where you can find the video of Jen leaving a note for Buck, right?
There's that one, and then there's the actual interview of Buck, but he won't let his face be shown on camera, so it's very strange cinematography where it's just like his hands doing stuff.
Very avant-garde.
Yeah.
I thought that was just your artistic direction.
It's French New Wave.
Right. Crazy though. I want people to not to get super graphic here, and then we can move on. But I want you to tell people, Jen, how Suitcase Jane Doe was dismembered, because I think that really hits home. And again, I don't want to get too graphic, but go ahead and get as graphic as you want, because it is. It's really fucking crazy how they pulled the body apart.
Yeah, it really is. So she was. We used this analogy before, but she was taken apart quite like you would take the wings off of a chicken. Like her legs were popped out of, like cut through and then popped out of the hip socket, the acetabulum. I remember that. Yeah, and then I think the forensics officials had said it was done with a small, sharp blade. Not sure what falls into that category, but it was somebody who was skilled with a knife and probably had a steely stomach as well.
Who would know how to cut like that, says Shannon. I'm going to go ahead and say a hunter.
Yeah, could be.
A hunter probably would have some knowledge of that. Or a butcher. Oh.
Ah, a butcher is a good.
Oh. But what about a baker?
What about a candlestick?
There we go.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah. A coroner. Yep.
Gotcha, Chris.
A surgeon or a doctor.
Actually, a lot of people, I guess, would know how to do this. A lumberjack. Yeah.
Taxidermist.
Just I don't know how to do it.
Right. Right. Actually, now that we're talking about it, I realize that more people probably know how to do it than don't know how to do it. It's just us who are like, no.
I mean, I could figure it out if I
Is that
really.
an area where there's a lot of hunters? Jen?
I
Are there a lot
believe
of
so.
there? Yeah.
Yeah, I think back in the 90s, this used to be like a little bit more backwater than it is now. But
They
yeah,
might
there's a
have
lot of.
that kind of knowledge of how to dismember something.
Yeah, I think so.
I really enjoy how the chat room here kind of disintegrated. Shannon, a Subway sandwich artist. That is a good point. You guys remember when they used to do the gouge cut and not the slice
Yeah.
one?
That was
Yeah, the
nice.
gouge cut was great.
You can still ask them for that, you know.
You can,
Yeah, I was with my friend. This is many years after they stopped doing that. And he was like, "Hey, can you cut it the old way?" And they were like, "Yeah, no problem."
give me
Like
the
I
gouge
was like,
cut.
"Wow, I'm surprised like every Subway employee is trained about the old way to cut the bread."
Wow. And then just start up a conversation about Suitcase Jane Doe when they're doing the gouge cut.
So, do this on a body lately?
Yeah. You ever heard of Downingtown, Pennsylvania?
Oh,
My God.
Ridiculous. But you had a couple close calls with the identity of Suitcase Jane Doe in the last few weeks.
what? Say that
Or
again?
last
You had a
few
couple of,
episodes. Yeah, a couple of close calls with the identity of Suitcase Jane Doe.
Yeah, I mean, the latest one that we brought up, still have not ruled out that person. But yeah, we had a near match on NamUs, which is a site where you can read kind of not a full report, but like the prime details in missing person cases and in unidentified persons as well. And they make matches between unidentified persons and missing persons. So yeah, we did have one that seemed like it was a good fit, but was eventually ruled out.
That was Nicole Russo.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Which is unfortunate because her body has never been located. They know who did it, or someone is in prison for Nicole Russo's murder. It was her boyfriend at the time.
Oh,
Yeah.
Give you guys an opportunity to talk about it on the show and get her story out there. So
Yeah, that's
a total loss.
Yeah.
That's true.
Mhm.
Right. It's a crazy situation where you think that you have a match for that was so close. Like I thought that there was a match there. And as long as like you can do this forever. You can talk about true crime and missing people and cold cases forever. And then you have that and you're like, what are the odds? And then you realize, oh, it's Nicole Russo. there's a whole other nightmare that's happened to this person, and that's just a drop in the bucket, you know, and it just happens to look like our drop in the bucket. And
Right.
yeah, it's crazy.
Right.
Sure, that happens pretty often, I think.
Right? I mean,
yeah.
you don't even, there's not even a number on how many missing people are out there that aren't identified, you know?
Yeah.
So it happens all the time.
Speaking of, we got to get Todd Matthews back. Our boy, Todd.
Yeah.
Todd Matthews messages in weird spots. All of a sudden, Todd Matthews. I opened up Skype the other day, and Todd Matthews had like 2 outstanding messages on Skype. Like, what are you spamming on Skype, Todd? Email. You have our phone number. Call us.
Yeah, very, very short messages too on in email. But yeah, we got to have him back on. We should get him on a Get Vocal. That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Hey, Susan, shout out.
Susan, shout out Susan.
Yeah.
Hello.
Talk about somebody who has fought the good fight. Susan has fought the good fight. Like,
Mhm.
the woman survived a tornado, for God's sake,
Wow.
and saved her cats.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Really? Is this
Yes.
a true story?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And
Yeah.
you saved your cat, Susan? Good on you.
Yeah. She dislocated her goddamn shoulder saving her cats.
Wow. Well, I hope that cat is grateful.
No, he's a cat. It's not.
No, that cat's like, where'd my couch go? But no, Susan has a harrowing tale of the tornado that struck. What was it? What was the town? Well, anyway,
Right,
it was
she's in Texas. Yeah, it tore the roof off her place. October 20th.
October 20th. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
Tore
that was
the
ground
roof
zero.
right off.
Yep.
Yeah. Crazy.
And are you doing okay? Do you have a house to live in, Susan?
Tornadoes, says Jason, also from Texas.
No house. Oh,
no
I'm
house.
sorry. Ugh. That's awful.
Yeah.
Oh, she's in another place. I don't want to make it seem like she's without a home right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just letting this nice person
Lance,
around the world homeless.
What's up?
Lance, we hopped on the turbo ride earlier today, didn't we?
The turbo train. The
Yeah, we
turbo
mentioned this
train. Yep.
right at the top. I don't want to leave the hanging Chad here. We mentioned it right at the top of the show. That Empty Frames episode 2 from season 3 coming out in 2 weeks will be with this guy Turbo, who is quite the character. He was blowing smoke rings for us. It was pretty great.
That's not a metaphor. He was blowing at Tim's request. Tim requested that he showed off some of his smoke rings. Turbo is from Brighton. Is he from the Brighton? In the UK.
Yeah.
Right.
What was that?
Nothing.
Oh,
I was just saying it in an English accent.
oh yeah. Oh, go for it. Yeah, because I pull off the English accent really well. Jolly good.
Like, good.
Yeah, he's a character, and he's in this documentary, this great documentary about the Gardner heist. It's called Stolen, and he blows smoke rings in the documentary, and it's really awesome on video. I learned today that it's not so awesome in screenshot. Like, it doesn't really translate. It just looks like someone's going.
It's the whole performance, right? It's the whole.
It's got to be moving. It's going to be moving. Yeah.
Turbo's great. Turbo's great. He went out of his way to tell us that he doesn't drink alcohol. He hasn't drank alcohol in a long time. He might eat a little too much. That's what he said. But he really needed to tell us that he rolls his own cigarettes with tobacco. So even his smoking is kind of healthy, I guess, because he's using tobacco that he's pulling out of a bag. But
healthy? That's unfiltered.
I think in his head, he's like, hey guys, I'm not just buying cigarettes. I'm doing some work here. Like, I'm actually working for my cigarette. But he only him and Greg Overacker, those are the 2 guests that we've had where they have no problem just ripping a butt, like while they're on Skype and having an interview.
Well, it goes back to my dream of being on the newsroom in a cloud of smoke. There's something romantic about it.
Yeah. Like, you light a new cigarette and you realize you have 2 cigarettes still burning in your ashtray.
One on each finger.
Yeah.
I think Greg rolled them too, didn't he?
Mm.
I might be mistaken on that, but I think he doesn't smoke anymore. Actually, Greg Overacker. But yeah, you used to be able to hear the lighter and him being like, yeah. So so the case, it's like in the first few episodes with him. That's always
Yeah. And I don't know if he didn't understand that Skype had like a video element, but I remember the first time we talked to Greg, all it was like from here down, and he had his button-up shirt like unbuttoned to here. And so all I thought was, I was like, who is this amazing person who doesn't give a shit whether or not I see his chest? And he's like moving around. You can see his cigarette like moving. Like, this guy's amazing.
He didn't know. I think there was video.
He just didn't care.
Yeah.
But anyway, Turbo is amazing. It's
Yeah.
like during Tim had to like kind of stop him because Turbo just got right into it. You know, usually when you
Time
start
out.
an interview,
Time out.
yeah, usually when you start an interview with someone, you get on Skype and you're like, hey, how's it going? A little bit of small talk. It was like, hey guys, and then it was just like, Sarah, I want you to know about it. And Tim's like, you got to stop, man. We got to start like properly here.
So here's the timeline. This is what happened here, and then this, and then this is what happened then. And it's like, wait a second. Well, you can't just blow through these points that you're hitting. We have things we have to reference based on what you're saying here. It was great.
As organized as Laura was for Trenny, Turbo's the other. Exactly. If you're to actually take their distances apart, like geographically, that's the distances apart with how they tell a case.
Yeah, that's fair. He's
He
great.
says, oh, the accents, because they're so spot on, right?
Yes, and Shannon is saying that the documentary Stolen is on its way to her house to watch it, and she says, "Wait, is Turbo in it?" Yes, Turbo is in it. He is great in it too, and he does blow those smoke rings, and it's really impressive. It's like Alice in Wonderland, right? Doesn't someone blow smoke rings in one of those?
Yeah,
things?
with Cheshire Cat.
It's Cheshire Cat. Okay, yeah.
Does he?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like a bubble thing? Like,
Yeah, it's like doesn't it like open a dimension or something?
I
that's
think
a Cheshire
Turbo.
Cat?
I'm pretty sure Turbo does the thing where he blows a smoke ring and then blows a smaller smoke ring through the bigger smoke ring.
That's
And then
so cool.
And then he did something really special. He contorted his tongue and lips and blew something out, and we realized it was Rembrandt's Storm on the Sea of Galilee. The only seascape that Rembrandt ever painted came out of Turbo's mouth in the form of smoke through the first ring.
Like Gandalf. Remember when Gandalf blew a ship out of his?
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
So that's why we call Turbo Gandalf.
Mm.
But
So,
the conversation we had prior to our interview with Turbo was sort of a what are we going to talk about conversation. This was a few weeks ago. At some point, we were talking about the Illuminati. How some I'm not going to be offensive here. I'm just literally saying what Turbo was saying. How some very prominent Jewish people aren't actually Jewish. He gave us the entire lineage of how some Jewish people are not actually Jewish. My head was spinning at the end, and I said to Tim, "I'm like, how did we get here? We're talking about the Illuminati and
also
counterfeit Jewish people."
He's a lot of fun, but it's like you go long enough with him, and it just gets a little something else. You know, it's like. I think we talked about this on maybe one of these Get Vocals, but like it's like a trilogy movie that by the third movie, it's really tough to tie up all the plot lines from the first movie and everything.
Yeah, it's like
That's
The Godfather 3.
Yeah, but he's great when he's focused, and he's super emotional, and we love that, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's fun.
And it's season 3 of Empty Frames is going to be a wild ride. I have no idea where it's going to go. Our main objective is to really get some sort of recovery process in place for these pieces of art. And there's a lot of resistance with the museum and everything like that. But, whatever. F them.
A lot of good tips coming in on the Erica Franelich disappearance. Lance and Jillian and Jen and everyone out there. This is a really, really incredible case. Hope you've checked out the episodes on this. We've done 4 at this point. It's a young woman named Erica Franelich went missing from Middleburg, New York in 1985. I think it was October 1985. She wasn't reported missing until February.
Yeah, missing in October 86, and then she was reported in February 87.
Okay, I always get those years wrong. Sorry.
It's just 87.
So it's the 2 years he always gets right. Every other year he's like dead accurate with, but those 2 years. Yeah, I think I really want to talk about the latest tip that we just heard about today. There's the latest tip we just heard about today came to one of our private investigators. I'm going to be as vague as possible. Came to one of our private investigators who contacted us and said that he was contacted by somebody who has a location that they think Erica's body's at.
Really?
And it's not just a, this is where I would dump a body if I did this. This is where this is a situation where the person said, this is where those people go. This is where I saw them go that night.
This is where they went that night. Yeah.
Right.
Mm.
And he's just holding on to this for 34 years.
No, that's the thing. Nothing's ever come up where they've had the opportunity to have someone listen to them, I'm guessing.
Yeah, because it wasn't really being looked into for quite a while. There was one PI a number of years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. Erica's family has pushed on it, but Richard, Erica's husband at the time, and really still husband because she's not been legally declared deceased, him and his family have not done much and have only really lied about it. And all, honestly, all suspicion is on Richard Franelich in this case.
Right.
He was her husband. And they were arguing that night. She called her brother that night and said she feared for her life.
Yep. And we have somebody who,
good.
I was just going to pretty much repeat what I said. We have somebody who said that night, this is where these people went. They're familiar with this area. And there's an area in the land where there's you can go down this, I guess, wrought iron ladder.
I shouldn't tell details just in case.
Why not?
Well, I just details, you can tell maybe the part about the tip, but maybe not exactly where, or because I don't know how distinct that is. Some of those specifics.
Are you saying that we have an eyewitness to someone disposing of her body, or just this is generally where these people go?
There's an eyewitness who said this is an area where people go, and they said those people went there with her.
So saw them dump the body?
No, not saw them dump the body. They
so
knew that they were going to that area.
Yeah, and knew of a specific thing. Basically a hole in the ground.
I see. Wow, that's crazy. I hope that she's recovered. Give the family some closure.
Yeah. I actually hope that people who were involved with this, or maybe even Richard, know that this location is now being talked about, and maybe he's going to screw up and go try to recover it, or cover up or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Tip his hand either way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we don't really know where exactly it is specifically, but
well, our PIs do.
Yeah, Greg's got pretty good idea from the tipster. Actually, he just emailed a very specific area. So yeah,
maybe we do know specifically.
We do, and so yeah, sorry to put a halt on some of that. I just feel like some of that might be really specific, some of the details about where that ladder is.
Yeah.
So I don't know
if it's a ladder at all.
Yeah.
Could be a metaphor. Could be a metaphor.
It might. Yeah, it might. It was right. It's a table, actually. I think it was like a. It was like
it could be an armchair.
wouldn't.
Yeah,
Simply an
it's Home
armchair.
Depot. Oh my God, it's Home Depot. Which, in a sense, is really a hole in the ground if you just kind of get lost in it. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
it's the beyond part of Bed Bath and Beyond.
Mhm. And go to space.
Yeah, well, that's pretty good stuff. I can't wait to find out more about that. I think
It's exciting.
we might, Lance, we might have to accompany Greg Overacker. Another little hike.
You know what's funny is like
Get your dad
usually
jeans ready.
I'm usually the guy who's like, yeah, I'll go in there. Just I'll go in there and give me a flashlight. I'll root around and but in this case, I was like, no, we can probably send a camera down with a light, like clamp a little light on it, send a camera down. And Greg was like, I know I'm a little bit, overweight at my, whatever, but I'll go down there. I don't care. I'll go down there. I'm like, no, Greg, you're not going down. You're not squeezing yourself into an area that humans should not be in. Like, we'll send a camera down.
I'll do it. I'm rather skinny.
Gotta be thorough.
Jen and I are.
Yeah.
Send me and Jen
Yeah.
down. We're small.
All right.
All right,
You're
there's
in.
spiders down there. There's
I
spiders.
have girls on your team.
We're pretty
Yeah,
tough.
ticks. Can you fight ticks though?
No.
We don't even need a
What?
mosquito net. Okay.
You do.
Do you
You
realize that mosquitoes
For
are
your own
the
safety.
number one insect that kills people every year?
Really?
You didn't know that, did you?
Wow.
Mm-mm.
Yep, mosquitoes
No.
in the world.
United States.
Like for malaria, you mean?
Pick your
Yeah.
poison. Mosquitoes carry it.
That's true.
Don't get me
All these
started on
blood-
ticks, mosquitoes, and
Bloodborne
murder hornets.
illnesses.
What was that?
The bloodborne illnesses.
Yes, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah, they're little viruses flying around in the air. Yeah, malaria and West Nile. Thank you, Susan.
Thank you, Susan.
West Nile.
And Jason says, did you know Greg Overacker once fought Bruce Lee and the loser had to star in a movie with Chuck Norris?
Oh, this is funny.
That's a good
This
one.
is funny. We could do a lot of Greg Overacker memes like they did with Chuck Norris.
That's right.
Did you know that Greg Overacker doesn't sleep? He waits.
I did know that. Well, geez,
Who's
we're
talking
getting
about garlic
close.
bread? I want some garlic bread now.
Yeah. I got one more
Please.
blog post I want to mention for people if you guys don't mind. A couple weeks ago, I put one up about a case that I'm really interested in, and it's another New England case where a car was left behind. So, Missing Moore Murray fans, this might be for you. Russell Bobbitt was a young man who lived on a farm in Walden, Vermont, and he disappeared in 1980. I think it was 1986 also. And he was last seen at his home, and his car was found a few days later. And it's the same kind of thing where they're like, oh, it's just nobody does anything about it. And they actually left it there for a few days. And when he didn't turn up for an appointment, he was reported missing, and they found blood in his home and in the car. And that's really where the case ends. There were a couple searches of a lake in Vermont about a year later and didn't turn up anything. So yeah, another really interesting kind of unknown case. So I can put the link in the chat if people want to check it out.
Yeah,
That's
I wanna
fire
check
that
it
link
out.
in there.
That's interesting.
Yeah, we should cover that case. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I was talking to Lou about it a little bit. It's one that I've kind of become really interested in. So
very cool. Lou, the PI from PIs from the Missing.
Yeah.
God.
Lou, he's got the mustache too. He's got like the,
Oh, he's got the whole thing.
yeah, he's very cop.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I couldn't imagine Lou trying to go undercover.
No, they would know immediately.
Yeah, I feel like Lou would have like a like a Mets hat on.
One of those like noses and glasses.
Yeah, like a Groucho Marx nose. But yeah, and people be like, "So you're an undercover cop?"
Yeah, Lou could not have been anything else, I don't think. I mean, he's just so cop, but he's so great. He's such a great guy.
Oh, and Jason talked to Lou earlier.
Yes.
That guy. He is a badass. He really is.
He really is. He's been very helpful with me as well.
Devin says they thought he was drunk and left the car there, so probably a police conspiracy.
You nailed it.
Well, yeah. Apparently he didn't drink or use drugs. But it seems like the car was on his neighbor's property, so they might have just left it alone, thinking like, oh, we don't want to call the cops and get anybody in trouble. But there's really not a lot of information out there, so it's hard to say.
But definitely a police conspiracy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
It always is.
totally.
Yeah. This was in 86.
I think it was
In 86, yeah. Well, it was a complete a police conspiracy right in the midst of satanic panic. So, I mean, I can't believe we're joking about. I'm so sorry. I'm such an asshole.
And it was kind of out in the woods in Vermont too, so maybe there's a Bigfoot angle.
Oh yeah, oh definitely. Satanic Bigfoot, who was the chief of police.
Devin says we should see where Bruce McKay was in 1986.
Didn't she just said McKay? It could have been any McKay.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
Jason, what's going on in Bronte? Or is it just Bront? I never know.
Bront.
Is it Bront?
Vermont.
Yeah.
What's going on in Bront next weekend?
Cool stuff, he says.
Oh, cool.
Let's hear more.
Yeah,
Tell us more.
Yeah.
We have an ice cream? Like, what's cool?
Jason, do you want to hop on and give us an update? I can get off.
No, I'll get off. I'll pop off. Let me.
Jason, you okay? What's going on?
Could be following up on a drone search. He says, not sure though.
Okay,
Not sure.
I'll hop off if you want to tell us what's going on. All right.
No, I think he doesn't want to be specific. He's saying he's being vague for a purpose, I think. But yeah, Jason Watts obviously looks into the Brandon Lawson disappearance. Went to high school with Brandon. So very cool connection. He's a great advocate for the case.
Jason, blink
Thanks,
twice
Jason.
if you can come on. Oh my goodness. And just like that, we wasted another hour.
Oh, this is great. This is a lot of fun.
This is great.
I don't want to do the actual podcast anymore. I just want to...
Oh, you have no idea.
Every
Every morning, Tim texts me and he's like, "You want to go do the intro on Get Vocal?" And I'm, yes, absolutely.
We do. We've been starting to do them all on Get Vocal. We got to do
Why
them.
not?
Yeah, it's so fun. It's
Yeah.
so fun. It's popping on.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's great. Well, thank you everybody for hanging out with us tonight. Another Thursday night gossip pod in the books. And we will be back next week. And actually, Lance, do we have an unconfirmed guest that we should announce, or should we not
No.
announce this guest?
I don't know. No one gets back to us. Everyone thinks that it's like a bigger deal than it is. So, good Lord, you ask somebody to come on, they're like, "Well, I got to clear it with this person." It's like, no, you just like fucking come
Just
on,
say
just
yes.
come on for a
Just-
second.
Click the link.
Yeah.
That's all.
We-
Talk.
What we will say is that there's what?
A psychic?
Can you get Greg on to talk about psychics for the whole hour? Just
Oh
let
my
him.
god.
I love
Honestly,
it.
what needs to happen is that Get Vocal needs to have a whole channel for psychics.
We should reach
Yeah,
out.
for Greg.
Next time we do that, we should get Greg and we should like tweet out, "Hey, any psychics, sign in to Get Vocal." And let's put you versus Greg Overacker, the PI. He's been literally begging us for this, by the way.
Yeah.
A long time ago, right? That he would debate one.
Not kidding. He every single conversation.
It happened.
That's absurd.
I used to be a staunch like realist. I think in a group text I brought this up. I used to be like, okay, well I get it. Like psychics they have an intuition. They can plug into, but they can't see stuff. Like that, very much skeptical. Tim was present during a ridiculous moment with a psychic that was unplanned. That was an unplanned moment with that psychic. And I was so shook I had to call my family.
Medium, you're talking about.
A medium, yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
A medium.
Yeah, that's another story.
That is another story for another time, but
yeah.
I mean, she was saying shit that like I had to call my family. And I had to say, like, this needs to be confirmed right now. Like,
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm not. Sorry, I wasn't saying stop. I'm saying like, who the psychic is another story all in itself.
oh my God, right.
Yeah.
Not Lori Bruno.
But speaking of Lori Bruno and psychics, she told me like friggin' it's almost like 15 years ago now that I would be hosting a creepy radio show is what she called it. Like a scary radio show. I don't even know what to make of that. I swear to God. She told me that. I have it written down.
Chicken or egg, like because you heard that, then you had it subconsciously.
Maybe. I remember when she said it, I thought like she was like radio future. What's that? Oh, I was doing like some webisode stuff at the time that she said that. So I was like, oh, maybe she just got her wires crossed and it was this comedy webisode. But then, 10 years after that, we're actually doing like the radio show that she described that she didn't know the word podcast for yet.
Well,
I know. I swear to God, I would be ready to just be like psychics or whatever. If it wasn't for that.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
and Lance's thing as well is crazy.
And with Lori Bruno, when we had our show at the Rockwell Theater, I remember walking up to the Rockwell Theater. It was about an hour before we were going to start. I think we went to go get like coconut water or something. And Lori Bruno pulls up right in a parking spot in front of the theater. And this is in Somerville. There's no parking there. And she found a spot right in front of the theater. And she said later on, oh, I just knew we were going to get a spot right in front of the theater.
She's like, it always happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's something about that lady. She's magical in some way. I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah. I changed my showering routine because of her.
I did too.
Yeah. You shower at night now?
Pretty much. Yeah.
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 Why? Wait, why?
You shower at night. Well, you got to wash all that off. You got to go to sleep clean.
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Wash it off.
Being a psychic.
Oh,
what?
Nothing. She just, it's more of a hygiene thing, actually. She was giving us personal hygiene advice.
Yeah. You want to wake
oh
up
my
with
God.
pheromones.
Wait, I have to respond to Kay here about the 2 British women who claim to be married to a ghost. I saw that, and it is the funniest thing I've ever seen. Have you guys seen it?
No.
One of them is
I have not seen it.
The British women who claim to be married to a ghost.
Yeah, there was one woman who said she was married to like the ghost of it. I think they got divorced. This was a few years ago.
There are a lot of pirate ghosts, though.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yep. Tons of them.
Is there anything more to that, or
is David
really into it?
is it like
No,
Blackbeard or something?
it was an obscure reference, and I was glad to be part of
it. Shannon mentions David Lynch's daily weather report on YouTube. Is he still doing that? Is that current?
I don't know if he's.
I remember.
Really?
I remember when he started that, and it was hilarious. Oh, he is still doing it.
He started that in like 2008 or something, right?
Yeah, that's right. Even earlier, I think, actually. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Chris says, I'd venture to say that most pirates are now ghosts, Tim. Thank you. I just feel like, based on the amount of ghosts that you hear about and the amount of pirates that there were in the world, the ratio is a bit off there for me. I don't know.
I feel like there should be more like soldier ghosts.
You live in Pennsylvania, or you go to Gettysburg. Gettysburg. There's tons.
I ghost.
What? Come on.
No ghosts.
You gotta wear your special glasses.
You just didn't believe.
I do believe, though.
If you want to see a ghost, you will. Ask Lance.
I've been really trying, though.
Yeah, Lance. How is the blue light, Brock?
Well, the blue light. Okay, so
know.
the blue light was actually a light that we put in our basement. It's just the blue light that I plugged in. I'm gonna come clean here. When I moved into this house, it was built in 1830, and I was like, it'd be really cool if we played up this whole thing that it was haunted, and I made up a couple of stories, and then it turns out that actual shit is happening here. So That's on me. It's more like the doorbell. The doorbell is really freaky. The doors opening on their own is kind of freaky. Where does someone left a dog? Like do people leave dog toys on your doorstep now? We have dog toys that are left on our doorstep.
Jesus, you're screwed.
Weird
Nice ghost.
dolls that were being left all over a town. The whole town was freaked out. It was just some woman making them. She thought they were nice gifts, but she didn't tell anybody. She was just leaving them on people's doorsteps. Maybe somebody's doing that with dog toys.
Maybe. I mean, it's a used dog toy that was left on the side door, which is halfway up our driveway, so it takes a little effort. But
Yeah.
maybe.
What you mentioned a used dog toy. Was it used by a dog?
I think so. Based on my dog's reaction, it seemed like he really liked it. Yeah.
Not a ghost.
I don't know, because he could be tuned into the ghost thing.
Brock says, true story, that he couldn't sleep the other night. He listened to the episode of Crawl Space where we spoke about your maybe quote unquote haunted house. And he says he felt like he was 10. He had to get up and close his closet door. Felt like someone was in there watching.
I gotta say that the doorbell thing is really the weirdest thing.
So your doorbell just goes off?
Well, the doorbell not only just goes off, but my girlfriend and I hear two different versions of the doorbell.
What?
I hear just like a boom, boom, and she hears the tune, like the she hears it coming out as like a tune, like a melody.
Huh.
Yeah, and
Maybe
I heard
she's
it.
just
She
like
heard
a
it one morning
musician.
and asked me if I heard it, and I was like, no, I didn't hear that. And then I heard it clear as day, so clear that I just assumed she heard it. And then later on, when we were eating breakfast, I made a reference to it, and she was like, no, I never heard that. And I was like, you didn't hear the doorbell go off. You didn't hear the doom doom. And she said, no. And she goes, but that's not how our doorbell goes off anyway. It goes off in that melody. And she did the melody. And I was like, no, not at all.
Whoa.
Yeah, so we're at an impasse with that.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Why
Two
don't you
different
set up a
doorbells on
recorder?
like the front and back.
Sorry.
Why don't you set up a recorder?
So you have like two different doors.
I'll answer both questions. We have doorbells at different doors, and we've tested the doorbells, and I hear the ding ding. I don't hear a melody. And Jen, what was your question?
You should record it. Like set up a recorder for a day.
I would love to. I would love to, but I can't predict it.
Oh, it's not like a daily thing. It's
No,
just
it
something
happens.
random.
It's been happening on Fridays in the morning. So maybe I'll keep an eye or an ear open tomorrow morning. But that's
Turns out it's just the paper man.
no.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like we look out, and the milkman has already delivered. But
That's a ghost, Lance. If you're seeing it.
no, the milkman with his little case of milk in the little sweaty containers of milk glasses. You guys don't get that delivered?
I think this is a ghost milkman.
Yeah.
This is from like the 50s. This guy's been dead for 40 years.
My God, I don't know. I do think that the ghost has a sense of humor, though.
Yeah. Sounds like it. Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't seen anything. I think I think Patrick Hines is full of shit. He said that he saw a ghost in a chair, like sitting in a chair. No, you didn't. Dude. Stop it.
He said he saw a full body specter sitting in a chair when he woke up. Now I would say he woke up from the middle of the night. Said he went to the kitchen to get some water, and he looked and saw something like sitting in a chair. This apparition. You know, it's in the middle of the night. That's a little shaky to begin with.
Patrick wears glasses, so I'm assuming
That's true.
Yeah, maybe if he put on his glasses or didn't put on his glasses. Tim, you can't relate to this because you have better than perfect vision. But for people with less than perfect vision, if you get up in the middle of the night, you don't have your contacts in, and then you have the choice: do I put on my glasses or not? Okay, I know where I'm going. I'm going to get water. I can navigate my way through the halls. So if I don't put on my glasses, perhaps I'll see something like a shadow or a car going by or something. Will catch a reflection or something. Although if you put on your glasses, you might see a reflection in your glasses. then you might want to, your brain kind of creates a narrative.
I don't know. He's in the Berkshires at this time. They rented a little B&B, old area, the mountains. I could believe it. He said he turned back. He said, "Wait a second."
Guy.
He said he saw it out of the corner of his eye, and then he stopped, and then turned back, and it was gone. Yeah, you're right. He's a theater guy. This was written about in the New York Times. Literally, this account was written about.
How the fuck can we go and solve these cases? We solve these true crime cases, and we get nary a write up. Patrick Hines has a dream, and the New York Times is knocking at his door.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think I saw a ghost in New Orleans once.
Tell, please.
Well, I was dead asleep. I wasn't wearing my glasses.
After a night of heavy drinking.
No, I don't wear glasses. No, I woke up out of a dead sleep, and it sounded like someone was playing the saxophone in my hotel room. Like, super fucking loud. And I woke up, and my friend woke up as well, and we glanced around, and there was nothing.
Probably the floor below you or something, right?
Probably New Orleans.
No, it sounded like it was like right near the bed.
That's like the birthplace of jazz.
Yeah, that happens in every room in New Orleans.
I mean, if there's anywhere you're going to see a ghost, especially a jazz ghost.
But that's true. A lot of ghosts in New Orleans. Very haunted city.
In New Orleans.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a tough one. Tough one because a lot of jazz and there's a lot of ghosts.
A lot of witchcraft. A lot of voodoo.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah, a lot of voodoo. Good Lord.
Jazz pirate ghost.
Speaking of shit that you see when you're sleeping, I just spoke to because we've talked about at length sleep paralysis and this documentary called The Nightmare, and I was lucky enough to speak to the director of The Nightmare. And he talked about his sleep paralysis, and that is crazy.
Yeah.
And it's still unexplainable. He made a whole movie about it and interviewed people, and he was like, I still don't get it, man. I don't get how everybody who experiences this can see the same thing and have the same experience. Like the same like inky black figures holding them down. You can understand the holding down process or the holding down part of it, because like if your body's trying to wake up but your brain isn't there, or vice versa, if your brain is woken up but your body is still asleep, you can feel like you're being crushed, right? But everybody sees these black figures that are holding them down, that are like somehow in like affecting what's going on, like they're directly responsible for it.
That's crazy. It's like everybody who does ayahuasca sees those like little elf things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's people that don't even know each other will come together and they'll say, that's exactly what I saw.
So weird. Well, I could believe it, that there's like unseen creatures in this world.
Or something unseen in your mind.
Sure.
Yeah. Something subconscious.
Yeah.
Just because it's in your mind doesn't mean it isn't real.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And Kay says,
Ask Plato.
Yeah. And Kay in the chat room says that apparently the quarantine is affecting people's dreams and giving them crazy, realistic nightmares. And I did read an article about that. That is kind of wild. I haven't really experienced that personally, but I did hear that's a thing. I mean, anxiety, stress is is pretty high these days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think a lot of people who live alone might experience that a little bit more.
That's true.
Oh,
yeah.
Susan is seeing ghosts at the hotel in Montana. I told the elevator operator, asked if he saw ladies laughing in antebellum dresses floating. Wow.
Holy moly.
What hotel in Montana
was Disney ride?
Yeah. That's a great one.
I saw Tim laughing in an antebellum dress once.
That was not an apparition though. That was the last time we were in Wormtown together.
That was prom night.
1996. All right. Well, we should wrap this up.
Oh my
here.
goodness, we've gone 20 minutes over.
That's it.
Wow.
It's like an encore. We're like Bon Jovi, just playing "Living on a Prayer" right now.
Oh
Has
my god!
anybody
Did I
asked
tell you
me?
that I saw Bon Jovi in a small venue? Oh, you saw Bon Jovi too, Tim, in a small
Yes.
venue, right?
Yeah, it was like 100 people there.
It wasn't even 100 people.
That was
There wasn't
great.
even 100 people invited to the entire party. There was 35 people in that room.
It's pretty cool, but it was weird for
Why do you
them.
guys both sound like you're from New Jersey right now?
Why do we what?
You sound like you're from New Jersey right now.
Oh,
It's like every
'Cause
person
we-
from Jersey has a story about Bon Jovi.
because we love Bon Jovi over here.
I used to go to school with Bon Jovi. We used to hang out at the Wildwood Resort and Casino.
One time I got shot in the heart.
And you're to blame.
Yeah, it was a private party for like some rich Red Sox owners, and they paid Bon Jovi and the whole band, I don't know, probably $1 trillion to play on an Air Force base.
Yeah, he played in an airplane hangar, and after the first song, he stopped the music and he looked down and he was like, "Why don't you all just come a little closer?" Because there's like 30 people. But
How weird.
The band rocked.
I mean, they're used to playing like for 20,000, or whatever. So it's like playing for 30 is like they get no energy back from the crowd. So
Yeah.
it's really
I think
weird.
he even said, like, I'm used to playing in places where I can't see the end of the room.
Right. And he's
Yeah.
like, you guys are all dressed in suits and shit.
Yeah. But they killed it. Like, I was blown away.
We were the only ones rocking out though.
We really were. And they're like, you can't film him. You can't film him.
We're like,
Don't film
fine,
Bon Jovi.
shut up. We don't care.
And I'll just give a shout out. We also saw Donny Osmond that night and Richard goddamn Simmons.
No, it wasn't Donny Osmond. It was David Cassidy.
Wow, I just confused my
How dare you?
my Partridge Family.
Yeah. My mom had
David
both
Cassidy,
posters in her bedroom.
So many people had his post. So many panties were flying up at him.
Richard Simmons was there though. Yes, Richard Simmons was definitely there.
Yep.
Yeah, very cool. We'll tell, but we should talk about this on a Patreon.
Yeah, huge teaser. This is like another hour and a half if we want to get into it.
It's a long story.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
How did
thank
we
you,
start-
everybody.
I'm sorry. How did we start off with Suitcase Jane Doe and we ended up with how we met Richard Simmons? I don't know.
It always comes back to Simmons.
Always comes back to Richard Simmons.
Oh my God. Well, thank you everybody for checking in and hanging out with us tonight here on the Gossip Pod on Thursday night on Get Vocal. We will be back next week, 9 p.m. Eastern, May 28th. Join us here on getvocal.com.